Alright, so I just finished watching the latest episode of Attack on Titan. It's called The Basement, and not a lot happens this episode. For the most part, we find out that Armin, um, he finds out he's a colossal Titan. Eren explains to him what happened, how he ate my boy Bertolt right there, and we just kind of see Armin's reaction to it, and we find out there's only 9 people alive right now from the Scots, which is insane. And basically, that's just the first half of the episode. Armin just reacting and finding out what happened last episode. So I feel like that's nothing too serious. What we're all here for is to know what's in the basement, anyways. That's what the name of the episode is in the first place. So after we get those Armin scenes and we find out, Armin finds out what we know already. Eren, Levi, Mikasa, and Hanji start heading out towards the basement. So as they start heading out towards the basement, they are walking through the city, and we get these little flashbacks from Eren and Mikasa's childhood, and it shows how their lives used to be before everything went to shit, and the colossal titan kind of ruined everything for them, and all these people were killed. We get to see how their lives used to be and how happy they were. They were growing. They had a normal childhood, and we even see a flashback of Hannes just hanging out with being drunk, and Eren and Mikasa being there. So that was really a bittersweet moment. So on top of that, we get really nice music to go along with it. I really enjoy that as well. After we find out where the basement is, we find they have to remove it. There's like a boulder in the way, so they remove that, and then we find out that the key that Eren has isn't actually the key to the basement, to open the door the door for the basement. So Levi kicks it open because he doesn't care, and then they are searching inside the basement, and they are looking for whatever Grisha Jaeger left behind. Let me just try to find the scene so I can show what Grisha's lab looks like. And essentially, as they're looking through it, Mikasa notices that on that little table that Grisha had, there is a keyhole, and that's actually the keyhole for the key that Grisha gave to Eren. So they actually opened that up, and Grisha had been keeping that very safe. He basically put protective layers, and he made it seem like the space was empty, but there were actually books underneath it, and they were well kept. Underneath the surface, and in those books is where we're going to find out what Grisha wanted Eren to see in the future. So the first thing we see is Grisha Jaeger, and this is really interesting because we actually see Grisha, and we see this is a flashback. Okay, it's a little annoying. See my boy Erwin again. And yeah, so we see Grisha, and we see that's not Eren's mom. And then on top of that, we see a little kid. Now, I don't know who this kid is or this lady, but what it looks like to me is that Grisha maybe had another wife, and maybe he had another son with that wife. Because at the end of the episode, we see that maybe Grisha had a double life. Maybe he lived a life inside the walls, and he lived a different one outside. So maybe he was married to this Eren's mom here, and he could have been married to this lady outside, or maybe he was just married to this woman before, and he had a child with her, and Well, shit, maybe that's Aaron's. That technically make him Aaron's brother. Now that's crazy because he could be dead. We haven't seen or heard anything about Aaron having a brother. Um, hmm, it's kind of crazy. I mean, last episode, the Beast Titan actually referred to Aaron. He told him about his dad. So maybe the Beast Titan could actually be Aaron's brother, or like, well, on the Midnight Sun episode, I thought it was his uncle because he knew about his dad, and he actually looks a lot like Grisha Jaeger. He could also be his brother. Now that I'm looking at it, he has a shitty haircut that the Beast Titan has. So I mean, who knows? Anyway, so we see this, and it's actually a photograph. So we find out that behind these walls, they actually don't know what photographs are. They're used to hand-drawn portraits, so they don't have this technology inside the walls. As you can see here, he actually has to explain to them what it is. And so humanity has not perished. I pray the person that finds this book is a fellow patriot. So the episode ends there, but we have an after credit scene, and this is really interesting. So here on this after credit scene, we see Grisha Jaeger, and we see that he has a sister. Well, I think that's his sister. I don't know who it could be other than his sister. And they seem to have they look a lot like Eren and Mikasa when they were little. Like they would just run around the town, whatever the hell they wanted. But the way they're dressed, it reminds me a lot of Germany. And even look, they have these armbands. Now I don't know what these armbands are for. Clearly his mom doesn't have one, and I think the armbands are to kind of let people know inside those walls what kind of human you are, and that you're maybe, I don't know, you're part of them. Or they could also be kind of the armbands that Nazis used to wear, just to signify, oh, this is who we are. Because this is, I'm assuming this town is based in Germany from maybe the 50s. And we all, like, well, we know that Eren Jaeger, his last name being Jaeger, is clearly of German descent. And this is pretty interesting. So his mom actually tells him not to leave the walls. So they're actually surrounded by walls the same way Eren and Mikasa and all these other people are. So it seems like there's more than one set of walls. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now Grisha looked a lot like Eren when he was little. Now, if you see here, you can just tell as if the photograph wasn't giving it away, and the medicine they have, all the technology that they have, that these people behind the other walls don't have. They have aircrafts, they have an airship here, maybe even airplanes or something else to get in the sky. Whereas the people behind Wall Maria and all these other walls, they don't have any sort of, at least I don't remember any sort of technology where they can fly. They just have horses and carriages. So you can just tell that there's a huge difference in technological advancement. Here we see like a little sign, kind of looks like the swastika actually. I don't know, maybe I'm just going a little too much over analyzing this. But yeah, this clearly seems to be based in Germany at the very least. So here's this guy. He also has another armband. So it seems like a lot of people here, or most people, have those armbands. Now it's funny because Grisha's mother didn't have one. So then his sister wants to be flying an airship too. And they talk about never being rich. So maybe this town is really poor. Or maybe their families are really poor. Now it could be that the town is based in Germany, but maybe the people inside the town are based on Jewish people. But I mean, we still don't know. Could be either or. But it's clear that they're not wealthy and they don't have the money to get on an airship. And then they see it flying away, and then at the end of the scene, we see Grisha Jaeger actually run off with his little sister. And they want to find out what's outside the walls. Now, look at the way they're dressed. It's just a big contrast with what they wear behind the other walls. And then he says he had to face the truth of this world. So I don't know. Clearly the next episode we're going to see Grisha's full backstory, and we're going to find out what the fuck is going on here. But then there's another scene after that. So this is clearly after they get caught running outside the walls. And look at Grisha's face. He seems kind of scared. His sister too. I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him before. This guy with the his hair looks like Reiner's. Maybe it's Reiner's dad. I mean, Reiner probably has a dad. And then that's Grisha Jaeger on the right side. Or maybe it's not, but clearly he's going to be on the next episode. And we see Grisha Jaeger crying. So clearly he had it with that world. I don't know who this is. She looks like Annie or Armin a little bit. And then we see Eren behind a jail. So I don't know what's going on. But pretty excited for the next episode.